Good morning everyone, Christine at SparkBird here. And I never know where I leave off when I'm making a video about a long-term project, so if I keep introducing myself, just bear with me. So anyway, today I have the wonderful task and daunting task of deciding what's going inside this book. And I know what my vision is. I haven't fully fleshed it out. I haven't fully decided it, but I know what it's supposed to feel like. And to that end, I've started collecting material that could be used for the signatures. And this is always the most difficult part for me because I become paralyzed by possibility. It could be anything, and I like to allow for anything. So it's really difficult for me to make some concrete decisions this early in the game. But what my normal process is I begin just to collect material. Like, okay, what could go in here? And of course, Edith Holden, especially this one beautiful print of these dead leaves, because it matches the theme and the color aesthetic, but it also speaks to the part of the book in the beginning, which is, in my mind, is winter. So there's those, and that's great. And then I have gazillions of ego prints. I mean, hundreds of thousands. It's one of my favorite pastimes in the summer. And so I've begun collecting some that I think could be worthwhile here. Then I've got some jelly prints that I've done over time. And again, I just pulled things that I thought, oh, the color is right. And here's a jelly print with leaves. So of course that's a contender. And then again, the color, the cool blue, the warm green, the silver, the idea of like silver birch. And so anyway, so you get the gist of that. And then I look for other things like textures. And this came off I don't know if it was a ledger, like a 1950s ledger or something. Anyway, that's what it came off of. And then I've got lots of paste papers, which if you've not done, I will do a video on because it's so fun, and you'll wind up with way more paper than you could ever possibly use up in your lifetime. But again, so I'm just going through and looking at what do we have, what's possible to be used. This is a scan of a eco print that I did, that I think I used that paper for something else. Again, more eco prints. This was interesting. I had been watching months ago, I guess, a couple of months ago, Pam at Paper Outpost did a tutorial on using cheesecloth and coffee to coffee stain paper in a more kind of efficient or more one-off way than, say, dipping paper and letting it dry for days. So I had tried that with the cheesecloth, and then it worked out well. I mean, I have some papers here that I think were from that, and they give a nice texture to them, and I can use them. But I also, at the same time, had some paint out. And for some reason, I thought, well, what happens if we stick the cheesecloth in the paint? And I began doing some experiments with that. So that's what these are from. And I don't know if they're the best choice for this book, but when I saw them, I thought, ooh, I like that. That looks a little rooty and textury and veiny and treey, at least from the inside. So that was my thinking process in terms of collecting material. And I still have to go back now and collect ephemera and maybe some ledger sheets or something that gives it a junk journal flavor. There'll be other things added to it, and certainly ephemera stuck in. My thinking is that much of the inside of this book is going to be fairly neutral, or at least organic, and that anything bright and cheerful and magnificent will be in the ephemera that can be removed, because I know how I get. So the other thing I have is I have all these sheets of very tree-like paper, because I had already created a book similar to this little guy here. And this one, same concept as the first one I did. I used all of these papers, many of them jelly printed, or honestly, some of these are just the brayer sheets that you wipe the paint off the jelly print roller with. Some of these are printouts, some actual paper. This was definitely that. This was a case of using wax paper as my clean off my brayer, and I really liked what happened. So that's what this is. And so that's what these are. I made far too many, which don't we all? So I'm thinking that could be a notebook that could be in here and removable, because whenever I create a journal that I think I might travel with, I always create a little notebook, or this one was a purchase notebook, but always a notebook that I can write notes in. Like I could throw this in my purse, like this was birding in Cape May, and I didn't want to carry the whole book with me, but I wanted a record of the birds that we saw. And if you like, and here's Savannah, Georgia. This was a different trip, a birding trip to Florida. So I often do that. Most of my books, at least if I'm making them with me in mind, I will put a little removable notebook in, just for the convenience of having something pocketable. So that's what I thought I could do with these. I could make some sort of little notebook that will go in here, that will stay with the theme and the aesthetic. So that is my plan. That's as far as I've gotten. I haven't thought about pockets and fold outs and any of that. Again, because I'm still in the possibility stage, my mind is overwhelmed. And at some point, I will just commit and say, okay, I'm making the inside of this book. The other thing I have to do, and I hope to tackle that today, is the outside, both the closure, which you have to decide on before you can finish the book, before you can even put the signatures in, really, because you need to know, are you going to do a ribbon that's going to come across the whole back of the spine, or some other closure mechanism? I have an idea for this, but it's going to require a trip to Michael's. And so that's on my agenda for today, because I also really need to get out of the studio. And it's a beautiful winter day. It snowed yesterday about a foot. So it'll be a great drive, and I'll go buy some craft stuff, which is never a bad thing. So anyway, so that's my process to this point, and I'll continue to share with you. So go create and be awesome. Hi kids. So it's back to start tackling the cover, because I think I worked out what the closure is going to be. And I started futzing around with things and just to try some things, and I found a few things that I liked. So I'm going to assume that's the direction I'm going to go. And it includes these leaves, which were basic Joann's or not dollar store, Michael's leaves that I actually, you can see, I dismantled off other things that I bought in clearance and on sale. And I wound up with just bunches of leaves that I can use for all sorts of projects. So this was one that I did, and I used chunky clear embossing powder. I'll show you the brand. It's a Ranger, I think. Yes, I used this, and I've had no other use for this, and I've had it for like 5 years, because it is so chunky. But for this project, it worked perfectly to make this look like a rain spattered leaf, and the same with here. So I'm going to show you what I did. I haven't done one on this fabric yet. This is going to be the wraparound of the book. That's hopefully going to keep it closed. So we're just going to do this together. But I'll show you how I did it. Super simple, like I did lots of other things with embossing powder. Basically, just using my less than terrific, well-loved embossing stamp. Just give it a good stamp, and then stick it on the sifter paper. I'm not sure where I left off, but we'll come back to any spots that are missed. Now I'm not going to be able to heat this on camera because I have to do it over a bin and on wood. So what I've been doing, because it gets hot, is I've been laying my pieces on this block of wood and heating it up there. So I'll be right back. It's just general heating. There's nothing new about the process. So I thought I'd hop back on during this video edit and describe that while I'm heating this leaf covered with the embossing powder, I'm doing it into a plastic garbage can, because as I got the heat gun nearer to the material, I could get parts of it to blow off. And that was perfect for this application because it left a sort of dew-kissed, dappled look, like it had just rained and there were just water droplets on it. It didn't look wet or plasticky, but it had the potential to make a mess, which is why I'm not doing it on camera. All right, so there's that section. And it came out beautifully. It looks like water has collected on it. Pay attention, Christine. That's messy. And that could be very dangerous. I'm just gonna move it out here. Bring this back so I can do the other end of this. Same thing. Just give it a good stamp. Overlap a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna spill it. Okay, and bring this back. Same thing. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. And again, sorry, but I have to do this off camera. I'm just not set up to do it under the camera. So there you are. And I'm gonna take it to my little bin here. All right, there it is. Looks wet and juicy and almost rainforesty. I love it. So that will work great. And if you've seen the book already, which I'm sure you have because I probably started this video with it, you know that this is going to slide under this leaf on the cover and wrap around and tuck in to another leaf on the back to keep it closed. So I think it's going to be great, and I'm pleased with the solution. I worked really hard, or I had to think very long about what I could possibly do. Originally, I was thinking magnets, and that there'd be a magnet enclosure, and it just was getting ultra complicated. And I think this is the perfect solution to achieve both an aesthetic, an appealing aesthetic, and my goal, which is to close the book. And to feel like it was just part of the tree or part of the surroundings of the tree. I mean, obviously this branch or this leaf grass is not part of the tree, but it could be near the tree. So anyway, that's all for now.